So, Dr. Stuckey, you have written a wonderful book on rest and how youth get at that concept. I'm wondering if you can share a bit about what you have experienced in terms of the relationship between rest and technology.
Hmm.
Because I don't want to speak for everybody, but I know that I, and I'm guessing many of us listening to this who have ears to hear, right, have heard things like cell phones constantly being plugged into the internet, social media, and all these other things take away from the likelihood of an actual experience of rest for our young people. Can you speak to that a little bit?
Yeah, absolutely. Glad to try to do that. Um, the first thought that comes to mind is this is a kind of a never-ending journey, and I think that it's helpful to recognize both the ways that this isn't a new conversation. We can kind of reduce technology to the screen or the cell phone or the laptop or the gaming system or whatever it is, and tons of attention to mobile technology. But the a plow for a farmer is technology, and it facilitates work in different ways. Um, I do think that we're in some new territory as far as the mobility goes, and the fact that we can sort of have this technology sort of on us all the time, whether it's a watch that keeps us connected or the phone in our pocket, and that presents I think some unique challenges. I know my kids go to schools that prioritize uh, technological proficiency. They want them to be skilled at utilizing various technologies, computers and apps and tablets and all the things. And I'm not opposed to that per se. Um, I think we should know how to pick that stuff up. My Sabbath question relative to technology, which we talk about this with our kids, is do we also know how to put it down? Um, we want to know how to live well with it, but can we also find the times and the spaces and the places to set it aside? Um, and I'll tell you, we're just kind of full disclosure here. We're in the midst of this experiment in our own family right now, just in a space where we're not entirely comfortable with how it's going with our family and mobile technology, meaning cell phones at this point. And so we're trying to set aside 5 to 7 every evening as no cell time. Put them in a basket, set them aside, leave them alone. And we've been attempting to do this now for, I think, 2 weeks. And it has been like the clunkiest launch of anything ever. But someday at 5, we're just going to put the things down and learn to do that, learn to set them aside. Um, and I think that's important. And I do talk in the book about when we think about Sabbath practice, about one of the invitations there is that we put down the things that tempt us to believe our lives depend on them, so that we can receive God's gift of rest. Put down the things that tempt us to believe our lives depend on them, so that we can remember that our lives ultimately depend on God. And I put technology really squarely in this category for many of us, that it so viscerally, tangibly, physically tempts us to believe our lives depend on it. And what's going to happen if I can't respond to a text or get a notification or whatever on social media? And if unless we're rooted in the reality that our lives do ultimately depend on something much grander, um, and even more real than technology, then I think we might be in trouble. Um, so let's learn how to pick it up. But I don't think we can pick it up well unless we also know how to put it down and can connect that to a deeper sense of identity.